months that we would have emergency managers up there. And then also we would bring in, like the city of Oklahoma brought in their fire chief, police chief, emergency managers. They brought a whole team up there, and the mayor came with them. And what was amazing was that when I was working, the mayor and the fire chief and the sheriff and the police chief out in Oklahoma City, the mayor told me, he said, you know, if we had not gone through that course at EMI, we would have failed in our response. Wow. And so what we were able to do to expand our training capability, we had a secure area called Mount Weather, and underground as well as above ground, and it was all secured, federally secured. So what we did, we declassified everything above ground where we could open it up for training classes. And I don't know, what was it, 10,000 people we trained there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so we were able to make some huge inroads in our training because we had so many people that was desperately needing help. And so I was very proud of what Kay and us were able to do there. It was just amazing, and it's beautiful property up there. Nobody was using it.
That's right.
And
it's busy now.
It's really busy. Yeah. So, but and as you get into a job and you get into a position using your skills that you've learned here, then I'm hopeful that you'll have an opportunity to as well go forward with some training. You just have to take advantage of every opportunity to learn more and just be on top of it, because there is opportunities, and you can continue your education while you continue your role and responsibility in your position. And as I said earlier, with the changes that we're seeing in our country now, then it's even going to be more critical that you know what you're doing and know what to do and when. And technology is going to be a key to everything we do in the future. There's no doubt about it.
Comment about starting things from how things got started. When we initiated this program, we did a lot of recruiting, trying to find places where we could encourage students to come to the program and tell people what the program was. The most accidental thing that happened was we were trying to put together a seminar, and Kay, you may know how it started. I don't remember whose idea it was to have this seminar where we brought in experts from all over the United States to talk about the importance of emergency management and what skills were needed. And we had ATN offer to do the downlink of the satellite transmission of this conference. And I think it was like a 3-day conference. Some of you, I don't know if you early folks were involved in that or not, but we had this program, and one person that we brought in, I know Kay had to speak. I corralled her where she was just...
She gave me a 3-hour slot.
Yeah, so she had to speak. But we did bring in experts like Bernie Fountain, talking about relationships. Bernie Fountain is known all over the world. He's a mortuary science expert. And he came in and he brought videos and slides, and he said, now this might be a little bit horrible for you to watch, but if you're going to be in emergency management, you're going to see all kinds of things, so be prepared. And he went in, he goes into like massive airline crashes where there are countless fatalities. And he had to identify the bodies by using body parts, and he showed this on the video, and this went all over the world, showing how you set up a forensic center so that you can identify these bodies. And back to the human side of this was very important, you know, for families to know that there was concern, but they would look at tattoos, look at scars, any kind of identifying parts. And that one thing right there led him to doing more seminars across the country and doing it at a distance. So that was our first distance learning opportunity. Nobody had talked about doing online education at Tech. Emergency management was the first degree offered totally online at Arkansas Tech. And I think that satellite transmission was the beginning of it, because we had students, our inquiries from all over the world. That's where we got our first Chinese students. We had students from India. We had inquiries from the British Virgin Islands, where we ended up with Charlene DeBreo, who took interns to the British Virgin Islands after she finished her degree and went back and was the manager of British Virgin Islands. I'm still in close contact with her. And I was very excited to get to oversee the interns who went to the British Virgin Islands. That was I took it on. I just had to, take on that terrible responsibility. And I was hoping that one of our interns who was there would be here today, Kevin Irvin, but he was, that was the beginning of our international internship opportunities. So anyway, that was the beginning of our distance education program. And at the time, you didn't know what you were doing, and you didn't know how far it would go. So sometimes you just start, you jump in, and you hope that it comes out well. And that was one thing that did come out well. And it was going to take $50,000 to get this program and to pay AETN and get all of the people that we needed. And Kay and James Lee looked at this and they said, I think we can come up with some money for you. So James Lee, with his relationship with the president, presented this to him. One day I get a call and they said, the president's calling from Air Force One. And I said, what do you mean, Air Force One? Get on the phone, it's James Lee. He said, Marianne, we got your money. I said, well, hallelujah. I couldn't believe it. So again, back to those relationships. You just never know where they're going to lead. Well, most of the early students were people who were already in an emergency response field. Fire, police, we had a lot of state troopers, a lot of firefighters, and those were people who saw the importance of the skill sets, but they also knew that they needed that degree for the professionalism that they would have to have more credibility in their field. And I hope that all of you will use that education to instill that desire in people that work with you. Find a way that they can come back, and there's no excuse with online programs. They don't have to give up their jobs. They don't have to move. They don't have to go somewhere to get that degree. This program is online. We had a video that went all over the world through this satellite program, and it's called that FEMA degree. Because everybody thought if you had this degree, you were going to work for FEMA. And our biggest challenge was letting people know that this degree went farther than just preparing people to work for FEMA. That as a manager, and the timing, with the 9/11, with the Oklahoma City bombing, with Katrina, I had students, we set up a triage center at Hughes Center, Community Center, when we thought we were going to have bus loads coming from Louisiana after the Katrina disaster, and we were going to house them. We had medical centers set up, we had clothing set up, we had food set up. So the students were firsthand. This was very early in the program too, but they were out there in mass, and they were seeing what it takes to put an incident command center together, a triage center, and that hands-on experience. You cannot beat that. You can be in a classroom all day, you can study all day, but until you take those skills and you put them into effect at an actual disaster, then you've really rounded out your education.
One of the things I would encourage you to do as well is that, when you graduate and when you're looking at getting into the professional side of emergency management, one of the things that I would encourage you to do is, particularly in like FEMA Region 6, and which covers Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, is go on their website and just sign up as a reservist. Because you can get a world of experience, because they always need to call people to come in and fill in after a disaster. And some of them, when I was there, some of them, we had 4,000 reservists at that one time. Of course, I bet they have 20,000 now. But I would definitely sign up as a reservist to actually get some field experience in the disaster, if that's something you'd like to do. But I would encourage you to do that.